Hello and welcome back to Green-HillGaming, where I share my passion of video games with the whole wide world. Back once again with another Resident Evil Village discussion live stream. I already spoke about the possible Spencer connection to Resident Evil Village, but in this live stream I'll be talking about the possible Umbrella connection to Resident Evil Village. So sit back, relax, stay safe, but more importantly, enjoy the live stream. So how do I think the Umbrella Corporation will be connected to Resident Evil Village? Okay, first of all, it's pretty evident in the Resident Evil Village trailer that the Umbrella Corporation will play some part in Resident Evil Village. That is more or less confirmed. And hello to my lovely viewer who has just joined the live stream. You are very welcome to Green, where I am discussing Resident Evil Village. I feel there's going to be, there's definitely going to be a connection between the Umbrella Corporation and Resident Evil Village. As I was saying, in the trailer you can see an Umbrella logo, and it's actually one of Capcom's key art when advertising and showing the game. So just want to get that out there first of all. The Umbrella Corporation will definitely play some kind of role in Resident Evil Village, but I suppose in this discussion video I want to kind of discuss what that connection could possibly be. Now I do want to point out that the Umbrella Corporation that we know and love from the original Resident Evil series, from the original Resident Evil game right up to Code Veronica X, is no more. The Umbrella Corporation, pardon the pun, folded in 2003 after the Raccoon City incident, after Umbrella Corporation could no longer cover up their viral outbreaks, and it took the destruction of Raccoon City for Umbrella Corporation to be caught out. So they folded in 2004. Of course, their biological weapons got into the hands of terrorists, and that's when we saw bioterrorism. Now it gets a little confusing then because we know about the what's been dubbed the Blue Umbrella from Resident Evil 7. That umbrella is essentially the same Umbrella Corporation, but reformed, not even rebranded, just reformed. And their goal is to make amends for their wrongdoings. And some of the staff are actually the original staff from the original from the original Umbrella Corporation. And yeah, their goals are to basically combat biowarfare and bioterrorism. Yeah, that's the new Umbrella. Okay, so just wanted to get that out of the way as well. Right. A lot of people may not know this, right? But the Umbrella headquarters were based in Europe. Now we know that Resident Evil Village will be set in Europe. I think it's safe to say this stage is going to be set in Romania. Okay? And they had many facilities. And how do you do to my second viewer? So you're both very welcome to Green-HillGaming, where I am discussing Resident Evil Village, and I'm discussing the what the Umbrella connection to Resident Evil Village could possibly be. I'm just talking now about the Umbrella headquarters, which were based, I doubt it's still based there, but they were based in Europe, and they had many different facilities situated around Europe. One of those facilities was the Paris facility, which Claire Redfield is captured in Code Veronica. But don't confuse, people will, don't confuse the Paris facility with the Umbrella headquarters. Because I was doing a bit of digging around, a bit of research yesterday, and I just found out that you never actually see the Umbrella headquarters in any Resident Evil game. It's never been shown. It's only been shown in the movies, the Resident Evil movie franchise, which is in the movie franchise, it's situated in Japan. But forget the movies now for a second. As great as I think those movies actually are, to be honest, which I'm actually a fan of the series, unlike most people. Anyway, so in Resident Evil video game lore, Umbrella headquarters is situated in Europe. You never actually see the headquarters. So think about that. That's their headquarters. It's their base of operations. They controlled every Umbrella facility all over the world. So I think, quite possibly, that in Resident Evil Village, right, Umbrella headquarters could play some part, could play a role. I should probably, dive a little bit deeper into that, but I'm not going to go too crazy with my theories. I do my best not to go too crazy anyway. I do watch a lot of Resident Evil Village theories, and a lot of people do like to go really in depth. I came across, I have to get this in. I spoke about it actually the other night when I was live streaming Resident Evil Remake, but I just have to get it in again. There's a YouTuber out there who believes that the Umbrella Corporation are actually the Knights Templars, the Templar Order. I don't even know where to start on that one, but that's a really out there theory. The only way I'll shoot that theory down is, consider this, Mr. YouTuber. I'm not going to mention who they are because I don't want to embarrass them. But then again, I'd be embarrassed if I was making a connection to the Umbrella Corporation and the Templars. Okay, so his theory comes from the fact that the Umbrella Corporation logo looks like the Templar logo. Looks like it. But if you actually look deeper into it, you can see that it's not the same. The Umbrella Corporation is a circular logo, Templar logo is just the red cross, and it's actually incorporated into many different organizations around the world. Now I'll get back to my own personal Resident Evil Village discussion in just a moment, but I just want to point out there's no other way to put it, how stupid that theory actually is. This guy's stupid theory about the Templars. I mean, this isn't Assassin's Creed we're talking about, for God's sake. Okay, so the Resident Evil series has been around for, Jesus Christ, it's got to be 20 years now, roughly. Okay, the Umbrella Corporation logo has been used for 20 years. They've explored, Capcom have explored the origins of the Umbrella Corporation on more than one occasion, and never has there been any connection whatsoever between the Umbrella Corporation and the Knights Templar. But this guy, anyway, this YouTuber, feels like there is. So I'm not going to go that crazy with my theory. So if I don't dig too much into, why I think Umbrella HQ will play a part into Resident Evil Village, that's just because I don't want to go too deep. I just think they'll play some sort of a role. Because again, I pointed out, it's pretty much confirmed, okay, that the Umbrella Corporation will be referenced and will play some kind of role in Resident Evil Village. Now, I'm not going to say that they're going to be in business, that they're going to be operating, but one of their earlier facilities might play a part. It might be a facility that nobody found out about. And as I mentioned, you never actually see the Umbrella HQ in any Resident Evil game. So maybe we'll see Umbrella HQ, one of their facilities. And as I spoke about in my earlier Resident Evil Village discussion videos, where I was making the connection between Spencer and Resident Evil Village, the castle that we see in the village could easily be one of Spencer's other estates, because there was a couple of holes in my earlier I think when I originally discussed how Spencer could make an appearance in Resident Evil Village. I pointed out how Spencer's family home as a castle in Europe, in somewhere around Britain. That's before I realised that a few things actually. Before I realised that Resident Evil Village is actually set in Romania, and before I realised that in Resident Evil 5 Lost the Nightmare, you actually go to Spencer's family estate. So it's been shown before. But as I found out, thankfully, as I found out then a couple of days later, Spencer had many different estates built for him all across the world. So what's to say that the castle that we see in Resident Evil Village isn't one of Spencer's castles. Now, I don't want to repeat my earlier discussion in live streams, so to make that kind of tie into this, you know, like umbrella related live stream, he is the founder, and he was the founder and CEO of the Umbrella Corporation. So, you know, it does tie into this castle that we see in Village, and in that castle you see an umbrella logo with other emblems surrounding it. So I do think that it's interesting how we haven't seen the Umbrella HQ in any Resident Evil game. It's interesting that they're based in Europe, and you know, it's their HQ, it's their base of operations, it's where everything would have went down. And the fact that we haven't seen that in a Resident Evil game is interesting, because, you know, maybe we'll see it in the latest Resident Evil game, Resident Evil Village. Maybe that castle itself was the HQ. You never know. Now, how that ties into everything else shown in the trailer, you know what I mean? That's something I'll get to in another discussion live stream, because otherwise it'll just be one big massive live stream of just theory after theory after theory, and it'll get too confusing for people. So I don't want that. It's confusing enough for me to even to say this, you know. I confuse myself with these theories and discussions. So, you know what I mean? I don't want to make it any more confusing. So the key points here are, if you look at the Resident Evil Village trailer, you'll see a lot. You'll see a lot. But blink and you'll miss it, but you will see an Umbrella Corporation logo, and it's not the blue umbrella that we see in Resident Evil 7. It's not Umbrella Corps, and it's not planted on you know, a big white lab door, you know what I mean, in one Resident Evil, in one of Umbrella's research facilities. It's clearly going to be in the castle, and you see these emblems surrounding it. So what does that tell me? Like, you know, to really study an image, what does it tell me? Get the feeling of history, you know what I mean? I get the feeling of beginnings. So the beginning and founding of the Umbrella Corporation is what I see, because of where the Umbrella Corporation logo is shown, where it's situated, and what surrounds it would tell me, you know, something to do with the history of the Umbrella Corporation. And one history that's never been told with the Umbrella Corporation, because we've been told a lot of stories with the Umbrella Corporation in terms of who founded it, why it was founded, what the three founders' goals were, many times in games like Code Veronica, Resident Evil 0, and the Lost the Nightmare DLC for Resident Evil 5. But one story that hasn't been told is not so much the story, like, but one thing we haven't seen is the Umbrella HQ, Umbrella headquarters. Now we actually do kind of hear about it a little bit, as early as Resident Evil 2, the original Resident Evil 2. You play as Claire Redfield, or you can play as Leon as well, but I think you have to play as Claire to read this, or was it the other way around? I'm not too sure. Anyway, in Resident Evil 2, hello to my third viewer, very welcome to Green-HillGaming, where I am discussing Resident Evil Village. I'm discussing what the Umbrella connection is going to be in Resident Evil Village. So great to have you all in the live stream. Not much time left in the live stream, really. I'm just about wrapping it up. But nonetheless, great to have you all in the live stream. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope that you enjoy the discussion. So in the original Resident Evil 2, you do hear Umbrella HQ mentioned, referred. After what Chris Redfield went through in the mansion incident, he attempted to report all of it to the Raccoon City Police, but he was shut down, silenced, censored. You know, very familiar in today's world, particularly by Chief Brian Irons, because he was actually taking bribes by the Umbrella Corporation to keep his mouth shut about what the Umbrella Corporation were doing in Raccoon City. So he didn't stop. Chris Redfield didn't stop. He investigated Umbrella further and basically found out where their headquarters were, which was in Europe. So he set off to Europe, to the Umbrella headquarters, along with, I think, who did he go with? He was going to go with Jill and Barry Burton and possibly Rebecca Chambers, but we know that Jill Valentine decided to stay behind. The thing is, we never see that. We never see Chris going to the Umbrella headquarters. Now, in court, and again, this is where people get a little bit confused, including myself, to be honest with you. Code Veronica, right, you see Claire Redfield, and she's going after her brother. She's looking for her brother who went to Europe to investigate Umbrella HQ. But she somehow ends up in one of their Paris facilities. That's not their headquarters, that's their facility, right? It's not their headquarters. And she gets captured. So, yeah, it's interesting that we don't kind of look too much into that, like, you know, but that wasn't the headquarters that was shown in Code Veronica. It was a Paris facility. And it gets more interesting. Resident Evil 4. Okay, we all know that game by now, don't we? Christ. As I spoke about before, that game went through a lot of development changes. So it's changed so much, right? One of the ideas that Capcom were exploring was Leon S. Kennedy infiltrating Umbrella HQ. I particularly remember reading that. Then it kind of changed into Spencer's Castle, and then it just continued to change, and then we got what is Resident Evil 4. What we know is Resident Evil 4. So Capcom are going to do it. And even more interesting then, if you look deeper into that then, there's a lot of similarities between the earlier builds of Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil Village. One of the leaks, now to be fair, every single leak that has ever come out on Resident Evil Village so far has been 100% accurate. So one of the leaks is that you are using a torch mechanic in Resident Evil Village. That was going to be in the earlier build of Resident Evil 4. And all these kind of like paranormal, kind of occult kind of like elements were going to be in the earlier build of Resident Evil 4. That's going to be in Resident Evil Village. You know, so it's very evident that the developers were heavily inspired by the original build of Resident Evil 3. So what's to say that they won't kind of go back to exploring Umbrella's HQ? Now there's going to be a load of there's going to be a good few fucking like holes in my theories, right? But don't worry too much about them. Like Umbrella is folded, but then again, like this is Capcom. I mean, Umbrella is folded. Oh great, Umbrella is folded. No more Umbrella. Okay. Then you play Resident Evil 7, and not only is Umbrella back, but Chris Redfield is working for them. So, like, if there's holes in my theory, have a look at what Capcom themselves are doing, and there's even a massive hole in that theory because when you actually play Not a Hero, the DLC for Resident Evil 7, you play as Chris Redfield working for Umbrella, and you read more about this newly reformed Umbrella as people have. You find out that they were actually set up in the mid 2000s. So, like, how come none of that was referenced in Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6? Like, Oh, just ignore the fact that Umbrella has refounded itself. So yeah, I mean, like, there's going to be holes in a long running franchise, even if you're developing the game. So don't take too much notice of, you know, if I'm saying something that doesn't really make sense, you know, because I mean, Capcom themselves half the time don't even make sense. So there you go. So yeah, like, I mean, it is evident that the Umbrella Corporation will be referenced in Village. I don't think you're going to have any, like, massive, like, kind of, like, I don't think it'll be like a research facility. I don't think, like, the Umbrella Corporation that we see in 1, 2, 3 will make an appearance. I think it'll be just a bit like Spencer and Mike Spencer discussion. I think it'll be like some sort of an Umbrella history story that they'll be telling. And after doing my little research yesterday and finding out about the Umbrella HQ and realising that it was actually situated in Europe, I should point out, somewhere in Europe, not just Paris. Paris was one of the European facilities. It was one of the European facilities, but there was facilities situated all over Europe, and their headquarters was situated somewhere in Europe. So the fact that Village takes place in Europe, you know, raises the question, you know, will Umbrella HQ play some kind of role in Village? Like, will it be like an abandoned facility, an abandoned building that you have to kind of go into? No, that then again, you know, I was going to say that's far-fetched, but is it? Because, like, when Code Veronica released, you know, if you were looking into the earlier kind of description of the game and you're looking at screenshots and trailers, you would think that the game would be taking place in Rockford Island. So at the end of the game, you're literally in the Antarctica. So you're going from Paris to the Antarctica. And Resident Evil has done this many times in the past. I mean, so look at Resident Evil 7. You look at the game and you think, okay, well, this game was going to take place in the Baker family estate. Before you know it, you're in a ship. So, do you know what I mean? Like, I know that they're showing the village and they're showing the castle, but what's to say that you don't find out a whole lot more, you know, about things, and next when you're heading off to Umbrella's HQ, and it could be this abandoned kind of building where you have to kind of go into to find out the real history of the Umbrella Corporation. Because as I spoke, I did a very lengthy Resident Evil Village discussion there a couple of weeks back on Oswald E. Spencer, the founder of the Umbrella Corporation. Everything about him. Now, I knew a good bit about him before. I could talk about Oswald E. Spencer without looking up any material, but there was a couple of things about him I didn't know, so I felt like I needed to kind of read it all out. So I'm not going to repeat that, but he does have an extensive history, and a lot of people, including myself, would be very surprised by his original motivations for establishing the Umbrella Corporation. Okay, so where was I? How do I bring all this back? So yeah, I still think there's a lot more history to be told on the Umbrella Corporation. A lot more than what we've been told. And yeah, I think I mean, it's definitely something that's going to play a part. I mean, it's if you go on to Resident Evil Village's website, it's crazy to think that there's still websites these days. You know what I mean? Like, we have Facebook now and social media. It's like websites don't even exist anymore. Isn't it? It's weird. But yeah. So nonetheless, if you go onto their website, you'll actually see again, like, it's a key art. Like, they're treating this logo as a key art. Like, it isn't something that you just like see in the background somewhere. Like, you know, it's a key piece of art that Capcom are displaying. So it's very important, and it's the Umbrella logo. You know, it's not any reformed logo. It's not the logo that you see in Resident Evil 7. You know, and it certainly isn't the Templar logo either. So yeah, I mean, clearly you're going to get to a stage in Village where you're in this castle, you're somewhere in this castle, and you're looking back at this Umbrella logo. You know, so there's going to be some reason that is. Is it an Umbrella related castle? And if so, like, it's obviously going to be some sort of a Spencer castle. But then again, like, you know that Spencer, we should know by now. If you're a die-hard Resident Evil fan, you should know by now that Spencer had many estates built for him throughout the world. And one of those, if you think of it, like, I mean, like, see, sometimes you have to think outside the box, right? In more ways than one. But we're all used to the Arklay facility that was underground, the mansion in Midwestern America, Raccoon City. But Oswald E. Spencer was the founder of a worldwide corporation that had facilities all over the world. Their headquarters was in Europe, and they had many facilities. So the Arklay facility was one facility. The T-Virus project was one project, right? And to be honest with you, as far as Oswald E. Spencer was concerned and his ambitions are concerned, the T-Virus, he wasn't even interested in the T-Virus. That was nothing, he had no interest whatsoever in that. So if you look at the Arklay facility, like, what did he do? He had a mansion built for him in Midwestern America, right? And deep beneath that mansion, he had a lab built. So why don't we just go over to the other side of the world here, right? Go to Europe, go to Romania. Spencer is doing research there. He's like, okay, I want a castle built here, or, you know, it could be a castle that was built already, considering the history of Romania. Fucking Dracula's castle, I don't know. That's my castle now. Get the fuck out of here, Dracula. Get the fuck back to Castlevania. Get the fuck, you know? So anyway, he has this castle anyway, and he basically says, okay, well, let's build a lab underneath this castle. You know what I mean? So what's to say that there isn't like tens, and no, I'm not going to say tens of thousands, but that's, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40 different facilities situated all over the world, including Europe. So what's to say this castle isn't another one of those facilities, Umbrella facility. You know, there's so much about Umbrella that, you know, we as gamers don't know about. So if you kind of, what I was saying there earlier about thinking outside the box, is if you think outside of being a gamer, and you think outside of actually it being a game, and you almost kind of, you know, almost like this is a real thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, you look at the Umbrella Corporation as a real thing, and Spencer's a real person. You know, if you look at it like that, like, you can't confine the Umbrella Corporation to one or two or three facilities. Do you know what I mean? And the people say, oh yeah, but Spencer, we saw Spencer's estate in Resident Evil 5. Maybe we saw one of Spencer's estates. One of. I mean, he's a fucking multi-billionaire. His family were one of Europe's elite families. They were billionaires. They were aristocratics. I don't think like one castle is where it stops for Spencer. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. I don't know what else I can add to this now, other than, you know, just kind of going over and over and over the points, because it's the points that matter. You know what I mean? Like, nobody needs to, you know, realistically, nobody really needs to listen to every single word of, you know, of a 30-40 minute, you know, discussion. Same anything. If somebody's giving a speech, you don't need to know every single thing that was said in that speech. Just key points. So what are the key points? Capcom are telling us that the Umbrella Corporation will play a role in Resident Evil Village. Not Blue Umbrella that we see in Resident Evil 7. Not Umbrella Corps that we see in Umbrella Corps. And certainly not the Templars. That logo is the original Umbrella Corporation logo. Capcom are telling us, pay attention. Pay attention to this logo. This is the original Umbrella Corporation logo. It's situated in a very historical position. Okay? They've got these really kind of like historical emblems surrounding it. Capcom are telling you that you are going to see. Capcom are telling you there's going to be a story told on some form of history of the Umbrella Corporation. Okay? So there is no denying whatsoever that Umbrella Corporation will play some part in Village. What I'm saying is what that part, could be. And I think, considering that Capcom have never really shown us Umbrella HQ, that Umbrella HQ has never really played any major role in the series. Again, it has been referenced and mentioned throughout the series, with Chris Redfield investigating it. You've read like documents, that were written, like letters in the game that were like from Umbrella HQ, but you never really saw Umbrella HQ, in action. And with so much history surrounding Oswald E. Spencer, so much backstory. Oh my God! Out of all the characters in the Resident Evil series, Oswald E. Spencer has the most in-depth background. His goals, his intentions. Again, you can check out my earlier Resident Evil Village discussion live stream, where I tell you everything you need to know about Oswald E. Spencer. You can do that in your own time, or you can just Google it if you don't want to. So so considering Spencer's real goals, and the fact that we haven't seen Umbrella HQ, so again, like, what I'm saying is, I think that Umbrella HQ, which was situated in Europe, will play a role. So I think, even if you look at Resident Evil Village, even if you look at the design of it, it looks very like, how can I put? It looks very like Resident Evil Code Veronica-esque. It looks very Resident Evil 0-esque in terms of its locations, the design, and they're showing you this this very old Umbrella logo. And those games that I mentioned, they all told a story. They all told an origin story of the Umbrella Corporation. I think the first, Code Veronica was the first, and that really kind of told us the founding fathers, so to speak, of the Umbrella Corporation, the Spencer, Marcus, and Ashford. It told us the story of these three individuals founding the Umbrella Corporation. Actually, sorry, no, it was more about. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up now. Code Veronica was more about the Ashford family, that they were one of the founders of the Umbrella Corporation. So you kind of saw this story being told of a family who basically established the Umbrella Corporation. In Resident Evil 0, then you find out about Marcus, Ashford, and Spencer himself. So I think that Village could be another one of those games that does a deep dive into things, because we haven't been told everything. That's the thing. Just because Capcom have released all these Resident Evil games and told stories in each one of them, does not mean that we've been told everything. The great thing about being a video game developer is you can just keep telling these stories. Just because they haven't been told already doesn't mean that they don't exist. So there could easily be a fourth founder of the Umbrella Corporation. There could easily be other factors to play. So I think this could be Village could be another one of those games where Capcom tell an origin story of something. I think this could finally be the Resident Evil game that tells the true intentions of Umbrella Corporation, at least from the point of view of Spencer. And maybe the three women that you see in the trailer, maybe they're heavily connected to Spencer. Maybe they follow his beliefs. There was a lot of wild theories out there, saying that one of them could be Alex Wesker. The craziest of all was the fact that they're what did they say? That one is Claire Redfield, the other is Maura, which is Barry Burton's daughter, and a few others as well, which is really crazy. But some of the theories are interesting, though. Some of the theories are interesting. But other ones are too out there. I don't want to go too out there. I mean, so far, I've only had two theories. Really, this is my second theory. The first was the Spencer connection. This is the Umbrella connection. So the interesting thing about my theories, apart from the fact that they're personal kind of theories, I'm not just kind of copying what other people are saying online, is I'm actually basing my theories off official Resident Evil lore and kind of figuring out like, is there a way like to fit them into the series? And I think there is. I mean, of course you can fit like, you know, the Umbrella HQ into the Resident Evil series, and of course you can explore more of Oswald E. Spencer's background into the Resident Evil series. So, you know, it's very possible. It's very possible indeed. Instead of me saying some crazy shit like the Umbrella Corporation or Knights Templars and, you know, Ubisoft, they're going to come out there and announce, oh well, we're collaborating with Capcom on Resident Evil. Fuck's sake, like, I mean, it's great to have theories, but sometimes sometimes people can go a bit too deep, way too deep with those theories. So anyway, that's pretty much all there is to say really. Those key points again, like, you know, Capcom showing you the Umbrella Corporation logo, more or less confirming that the Umbrella Corporation will play a part in Village. And what I'm saying is, if that is the case, and well, it is the case, that is the case. I think they could be delving into the Umbrella HQ for the first time in the series, the base of operations, where it all started, where every single project was overseen, and with that, then, you know, considering that Spencer was the founder of the Umbrella Corporation, the CEO, you could see and hear more about the Spencer kind of connection. And again, maybe those women that we see in the trailer, maybe they're part of the Spencer family, maybe they're survivors of the Rescue Children project. You know, maybe they're just people who were giving a virus at the hands of the Umbrella HQ. Who knows? It's a very isolated village by the looks of it. So this could have been going on for, like, you know, because we heard about the Raccoon City incident and, you know, the events of 5 and 6, you know, but this is a very isolated village, so this could have been going on for even well after the Umbrella Corporation were folded. You know, so it's an interesting point to take away too. But the only point really to take away is there will be an Umbrella connection in Village. It's confirmed by Capcom with them showing you a key art of Village, showing the Umbrella logo, and me saying that, you know, that considering that there has been no Resident Evil game where you explore Umbrella HQ, and no Resident Evil game has actually explored the true origins of the Umbrella Corporation, because they're not just, you know, a shady biological weapon company. You know, they're a whole lot more than that. Believe me, when you discover the true origins of the Umbrella Corporation, a biological weapon company makes Umbrella look like a fucking I don't know, like a cartoon compared to their original motives. So they could explore that as well. So the true history of the Umbrella Corporation, I believe, will be showing in Village. So as I said before, I'm going to have a lot of different types of Resident Evil Village discussions. They're going to be everything really. The reason I just called it discussion is because it pretty much, like, there's no point in me like having my discussion videos will consist of theories, speculation, predictions, thoughts. I just think you can put it under, pardon the pun, under the umbrella of a discussion, because that's what, you know, it's at the end of the day, it's a discussion. You know what I mean? You can put that down to anything. You can, as long as you open your mouth, you're having a discussion. You know what I mean? So that's why I call these my Resident Evil 7 or Resident Evil Village discussion. So I have a few things as well. There's one thing I do want to get to at some stage, and that's just having a complete, like, fucking deep dive into Mia Winters, right? Mia Winters and exactly who she is. Like, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, imagine if and this is kind of going to set things up now for that eventual live stream. You know, the original Resident Evil, where you have, like, let's say, like, there was just one zombie, right? And he was going around, he was killing all of Chris Redfield's comrades and friends, and he killed a lot of other people as well. And he killed the hikers in the forest of Raccoon City, right? But let's say you couldn't keep up to him. He just kept on kind of, stumbling away. Right? And then at the end of the game, then he just comes back into a human or something. I don't know. Like, and he's infected. What do you think Chris Redfield people do? Oh, you're grand, boy. Don't worry about it. You're grand. No, I think you'll shoot him by the head and say, sorry, buddy. Bang. Do you know what I mean? You're a biological weapon. Boom. I mean, it's ridiculous how people are looking at Chris Redfield at the end of the trailer and saying, oh, why did you shoot me? Have these people even played Resident Evil 7? Honestly, that would be my question to them, So anyway, there's a lot to be said about that. And it does tie into Resident Evil Village, like, the Mia Winters thing, because it heavily ties into Village, because, she does get shot at the end of the trailer by Chris Redfield, and people are asking why. And I think that my discussion on Mia Winters will shed a lot of light onto it. So yeah, there is a lot to be said about Village, in a couple of months, in August, Capcom are going to be talking more about Village, so that will give me even more things to discuss. But I'm not going to discuss everything, you know what I mean? And everything I've spoken about so far is things that could happen. Now again, the Umbrella Corporation will play a part, but the could part will tie into the Umbrella HQ and stuff like that. So far, I haven't actually discussed what we see in the trailer as concrete, because that speaks for itself. Do you know what I mean? The trailer speaks for itself. But there is something I do want to do as well at some stage, to kind of piece together a few things in that trailer and kind of describe what could be happening in the trailer that we don't actually see, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like particularly the scene where Mia and Ethan are in the home, and they're she's reading the story, and then later on in the trailer, you got Chris coming in shooting her and stuff. So I'm going to piece together that. But yeah, there's a lot to be said about Village. So I will be getting back to Resident Evil Remake as well, continuing to tell the story of Chris Redfield. So it's the end of the live stream. So I want to thank you to those who watched, and to those who disliked the video. Come back to me when you get 318 subs, buddy. And I will see you next time on Green-HillGaming.